welcome to Gaining Vision. I'm Melanie. Thanks so much for clicking. To my returning family of visionaries, thank you for continuous love and support. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Please feel at home. Have you had an opportunity to subscribe to the channel yet? If not, take a second, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to like and share. As elections are coming up in South Africa, many people are trying to find out who they want to govern for the next 5 years. But there takes a lot of topics under a governance that people should consider. But two of these very important topics are infrastructure and crime and corruption. Now, I've always thought that J.S Malema has great foresight. He seems to have his finger on the pulse of what's happening in South Africa and what South Africans need. So when I heard him being interviewed on the topic of infrastructure and crime and corruption, I stopped and listened closely to hear what he had to say. Now, we all know that infrastructure is vital, whether for a country, a city, or a community, in order for it to prosper, to have what it needs to be successful. J.S Malema talks about the importance of understanding the lifespan of infrastructure. That combines how old the infrastructure is, how often it's being used, the weather conditions and climate change and the impact it has on the infrastructure, and of course the maintenance of it. He talks about the importance of people understanding the lifespan of any infrastructure in South Africa, and he vows that the EFF will do a full audit of the infrastructure in all of South Africa so there's no surprises that after a lifespan of an infrastructure fails and if the system collapses, they're going to be prepared. I paused and thought, wow, that's very important, because the roads, the bridges, the water and sewage, and of course electricity in South Africa always are a vital resource and opportunity for people. But when he also talked about crime and corruption, I'll be honest, I was a little confused in that area of infrastructure. How could that be? But when I did my research, I discovered situations where the contracts are being hijacked by others. People come in, they don't finish the jobs appropriately, on time or on budget, and of course, they also use shoddy materials. This is a disaster for the South African people. J.S Malema talks about how the EFF will address this, including the fact of making it easy for whistleblowers to report crime and corruption without being in fear. They also talk about holding people accountable when they're found guilty of crime and corruption. And it shows that them having a plan for the infrastructure and for crime and corruption shows that they're ready to govern. Two very important things. Another big part about understanding the importance of infrastructure and crime and corruption is it brings investments into South Africa. People want to invest their money into infrastructure. Having BOTs, the build, operate, and then transfer, is a great way. But also, if people want to come and invest, they have to ensure that it's crime and corruption is addressed and that their money will be safe, their investment will be safe. Let's hope the EFF and other political parties also are planning on this.
I want to speak about the massive rollout of infrastructure projects that you speak about in the manifesto. We have a huge problem of corruption, as you well know. You only have 5 years of authority in this country. How do you work around the issue of corruption? And it's hard to alleviate.
Well, if you make a mistake of giving us 5 years, you will never want to remove us because of the kind of work we're going to do and the kind of service we're going to give it to you. One thing that we're going to do is to punish corruption. We need to reward the police, reward the prosecution authority, reward the investigating officers, reward the informers on the ground. The machine must be well resourced, well oiled. Then, once you have oiled this machine, no one can go and buy them. They know that if I successfully prosecute a politician, I stand a chance of getting a bonus because it's a high-profile case. If I successfully prosecute or arrest or investigate this case of cash in transit, I'm likely to get bonus because this is the most dangerous case. There must be a reward in fighting crime and corruption. So our infrastructure is going to be led by a corrupt-free government where corruption is punishable. We now are almost a year now in the municipalities where we are. We got removed in eThekwini without a single minute allegation of corruption. In a year, we've been there. Not a single person can say, point the EFF people and say, this one is corrupt, he did this one did. We have never had that from the leadership of the EFF. And that leadership is at the lowest level. They know that this is how we work. That's what we're saying. These bridges here that you used to come to this office are old and are going to collapse. And these bridges you see and the tar roads you see were designed by engineers. And they said the lifespan, you don't have to do anything. You just have to look at the plans and the approvals of those who came before you to say, okay, here are the bridges of Johannesburg. Which one is the lifespan coming to an end? Everything is written there. That this is 50 years, this is 30 years, this is 100 years. They are waiting for it to shake before they make an intervention. And when bridges are falling, you're like, yo, there is a season of bridges falling. There will be a season of bridges falling because they were all built at the same time, almost. So why would they not fall at the same time? Someone is not paying attention. People go into government. They don't ask, bring the plans of this country. What is what? The people of Soweto, where do they get water from? And what is happening there where the water comes from? They have no idea, none whatsoever. They just walk in because for them, it's not power, it's glory. They confuse power and glory. There's a difference between power and glory. They swim in glory, but they have no power. Because if they had power, they would have changed this situation we're subjected to for the better.
So when I came across a video of a water pipe and the lifespan of it collapsing in Durban, I wasn't surprised now that I understood. And after listening to what the mayor had to say, I really started to think about this. So let's take a listen to what that mayor had to say.
That is going to be put back to the community. What does that mean to you?
Yes, in fact, we've been making commitments to the members of the public that will respond to their plight of shortages of water. And what impacted to that shortage is that our main pipe, Southern Aqueduct, which supply the southern part, your Shallcross, Chatsworth, you talk about Umlazi, Folweni, and Ntsimbini, those areas have been impacted negatively because the aging infrastructure have expressed itself in a way that we had to shut the other pipe, which is concrete, to shut it down. It was not operational. So the quantity of water that was expected in these areas has been a very a shortage of this supply of water. So the demand have been surpassing the supply. So that have impacted negative to the people's lives. As a result, the city had to take a decision that we need to reoperate this pipe which was shut down, and it is a 24-kilometer pipe. We have appointed two major contractors, WUK and ICON, to undertake this project. They are given 24 months to complete this project. But in the first 6 months of this project, they are given an assignment that they need to expedite the process within a period of 6 months. As they've already started now in April, we'll need to see an improvement in terms of quantity of water that we supply to these areas. So the challenge in the areas in sections, Shallcross, Chatsworth, and other areas that have been prevailing for quite some time, it is now going to be attended to and is going to be resolved. But we know it is not going to be a total complete of response. They will continue up until they complete the entire project in 24 months. So we'll expect that after 24 months, everything will come back to normalcy and people will be starting to receive water as expected. And we've been apologizing to our communities that really this project is one of the projects that is going to be costing us a lot in one area in this section of the south, which will be 1.2 billion rands. So therefore, we've been securing those resources. They are now available. We are starting with this 50 million now, but after June, we complete all the other SCM processes, then the project will be allocated exact amount that is needed to fix the challenge.
We also understand that, Mayor, also other parts of eThekwini still have the challenge of water, your Phoenix, your Kwaklimba areas. What update do you have? Because the municipality have been putting the time frames, but they've failed to meet those time frames.
No, we didn't fail. We'll tell you that we committed the 15th of February. That 15th of February, water came back, but there were some challenges, which does not mean we failed. Then we continued the project up until the 28th, and the strike came in between and disturbed the pace in which we're moving to reinstall water in those areas. But we are happy that all the air valves have been completed. 70 of them have been put in the area, and now we are about to commission another pipe, which will also reinforce the supply of water to these areas, and should make improvement to your Verulam, Phoenix, and other northern areas that happen north. So that is about to happen, and we'll call you to come and join us when we are commissioning that pipe. They are just finishing some small details in that project. But on top of that, the communities of the north, Yontuzuma, Lindelani, Kwamancinza, Inanda, those communities are still suffering because when our power station caught fire, it affected the manner in which we supply water through our pump station number 2 in Duzum. So instead of getting all those communities back to the system, we were only able, with the immediate maintenance that we conducted, to put only 50% of communities. So now we've allocated 35 million. That project is also starting, which will then reinstate people to the system, and they'll start enjoying their right of accessing water as expected. So we understand that, but that is not also going to be a totality intervention or a pocket of intervention that is complete, because we are still working, undergoing a process of implementing the new dam. All the dams that are around us as a city, they are unable to give us the source of water that we need. So we need an additional 400 million megaliters of water to be put in the system so that we can be able to supply residents of eThekwini adequately. So that project is about to start. The minister is leading that project together with ourselves as a city. So we are working hard to ascertain that those communities who have been suffering for quite some time, there will be a permanent answer. But that answer, building a big dam of that magnitude will take longer. They are estimating to 2032. We said they must come down to 2030, 2027. So they are working on that, the engineers, because we do not want to build a dam that will also bring about disaster. So we just push them hard. We say bring it within 3 years. Then in the next coming 5 years, that dam damages the properties of people and we lose lives. So it's important that we also understand the technical work that engineers are doing, because we as politicians, we are under pressure, but we mustn't put unnecessary pressure to the engineers in such a way that they'll commit mistakes on the way, and those mistakes will also cost all of us with the residents.
But Mayor, there's also Amatelangokubona that are always hijacking projects like this. Is there anything that is planned from the municipal side to try and avoid those kind of disturbance?
Amatelangokubona is a certain organization, but they are business forums. So we cater for the beneficiation of local businesses. But there is nowhere where, as a city, will allow an environment where people will just come on site and close the project and demand extortion. That is not going to be allowed. If it happens, we'll intervene immediately, and police are ready to clear that out. it, but we'll expect that local businesses, those who are professional, because this is our obligation as a city by the laws of this country, that 30% should be reserved for local beneficiation. That is going to happen, but in a proper way. Those, it's not going to be catering for everybody, for all business forums, and we can't expect people to bring firearms on site and intimidate companies and demand that they are the ones that get appointed. So we are going to make sure that that doesn't happen, and people will get opportunities as they are made available.
After listening to J.S Malema and the mayor and looking at the situation, we all understand it's not just this water pipe that's collapsed. There's other infrastructure. Just think of it, the roads, the bridges, the buildings, and definitely the electricity grid, or is in the process of collapsing, because nobody's really done the research on the lifespan of infrastructure. And then, of course, crime and corruption is also holding back the process of improving the infrastructure in South Africa. So I had to think to myself, why has the ANC not worked on this over the last 30 years? Most of the infrastructure has been around, so isn't it time to have a plan in place? So whoever you're looking at, if you're in South Africa, on voting, whether it's EFF or another political party, make sure you understand what their plan and process and policies will be around infrastructure and crime and corruption, because these are two very big topics that should be on the ballot in South Africa come May 29th. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the videos and on this topic. Drop your comments below. Let's have a conversation. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.